It's time to put up your dukes with a brand new subclass.
Today we're going to teach you how to do the old 1-2 with the way of the closed fist. Welcome everyone, I'm Sean, and I guess this is Tony.
That's
right. And today we're going to be going over the monk subclass, the way of the closed fist.
Yes, now this is a DNDBeyond subclass that was actually sent to us by one of our viewers, and it is one of these phenomenal things we took a look at, and we really, really like it. I cannot read that.
So that's from BSG Professor Herb.
Oh, Professor Herb. That's the one
Herb,
we know.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
And this is a subclass for the monk that is the exact opposite, really, in name, of the way of the open fist.
Yeah, it kind of does, because when we think of the open hand monk, there's a lot more around, like, proning your target and things like that. This one is just straight up, like, wallop.
Yeah, it packs
hit hard.
Not to... God, he's going to kill me for that. It packs a punch.
Ooh.
But it is a really awesome one. Let's get into it.
Yeah, so it's important to note, in order to actually do any of these abilities, you cannot have any weapons, and you must have free hands at all times, because you have to have your fists closed.
Right. Now, at third level, you get your first two effects, all right? And the first one is called Heavy Fist. Basically, any unarmed strikes that you make are one die higher.
Yeah.
So instead of a D4, you're doing a D6, what have you. But in order to have that benefit, you have to have both hands open.
Yes. You also get the old 1-2. So anytime that you miss with an opportunity attack, you can make another one with advantage.
And I really like that.
Yeah.
I think that's very fitting of a boxer with it. You'll sometimes miss in order to hit them harder from a different angle, which is kind of cool. And that's third level. Now at sixth, now this one's where it gets kind of interesting and kind of neat, because you are able to name your strikes.
Yeah, and it's interesting because even you might have some players that actually want to, like, oh, I want to hit him in the head, I want to hit him in the arm, or they'll try to, like, kind of, go out of, like, that creative zone to try and hit things specifically. So this ability kind of lets you do that. Now, it's very interesting to note that you cannot do this on an ooze or a plan or anything that the DM would consider unrealistic. So no low blows on the ooze.
Yeah, it kind of has to have a head, and
right,
kind of has to
actual
have those
limbs,
things in order to be able to do it. But it works out pretty well. Now
Yeah.
you get to be able to target either the head, the torso, or
the lower regions.
Right.
But they each have a different effect.
Right. So if you target the head with the uppercut and it hits, that creature now has disadvantage on intelligence and wisdom saving throws.
Yeah, and it's important to note that with either of these, you basically get stunned. So if you do hit with the uppercut on the head, they are stunned, and they have disadvantage on those intelligence and wisdom saves. Mm-hmm. So you're essentially using your stunning strike feature as a monk, but it's kind of building on that.
Right. And then if you target the torso, what happens?
Well, no one likes getting, punched in the stomach. So essentially it's the same thing, but you have disadvantage on con saves because you kind of get a little rumbled in the tummy there. So.
I used to have a guy in college that I knew that made me punch him in the stomach all the time. I don't know what that was about.
Yikes.
But then there's also the low blow.
Yeah, and I really like this. So essentially if you get punched down there, you have disadvantage on charisma saves because, that's where the magic is, so.
I'm fine.
Right.
I think that would, disrupt anybody's charisma.
I'm sure.
Now, you also get an ability called RopeaDope.
Yeah, so at the 11th level, basically you can kind of use your attack and use your reaction to spend a key point to gain resistance to all but psychic damage until the end of your current turn.
Right. Now, you have to be hit by the attack first, and then you use a key point to actually put your hands up.
Yeah.
So you're kind of doing that boxing, like, blocked guard kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
And then that gives you that resistance to everything but psychic damage. You can still...
Yeah,
They can still hurt your pride.
Right, exactly. And it's not too bad. It's kind of similar, actually. There's a barbarian that basically has resistance to all but psychic damage as well. Mm-hmm. So it's not like... And you have to spend a key point, too. So it's actually a pretty balanced ability as well.
And the last one is Haymaker. This is at 17th level, and this is meant to be a debilitating blow to somebody.
It's kind of like getting punched like really hard. When you're watching like UFC or like a boxing match and they slow-mo on that one punch where you can just see like the skin kind of rippling.
The mouth kind of to the side, that kind of thing. Yeah, and basically what ends up happening with it is you spend 4 key points and the creature has to make a con save. And then after, kind of like they would with a stunning strike, if they fail, they're paralyzed for a minute. At the end of each of their turns, they can repeat the save. But when the effect ends, they are under the effects of the poison condition.
Yeah, so basically I think what the idea here is that, when you get really punched hard, even once you kind of recover from it, you kind of feel like, wobbly and you feel kind of off. So I know that, why would it be like a poison condition? But essentially with the poison condition, you have disadvantage on, attack and ability checks.
Right.
So that actually kind of makes sense with this really hard Haymaker punch.
Right, and you can only do this once per turn. So you can't like just go, Haymaker you, Haymaker this guy. But it is a really awesome and well-rounded class with it. I like the theme of putting a boxer in a monk setting.
Yeah.
We saw some of that on DM's Guild a little bit. There's a pugilist and a few other ones that are like that.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that like this idea of this like kind of like scrapper, boxer, punching class. But I like this one because there's a lot of different abilities that you get as you level up in progression. Important to keep in mind, you're not really going to get a lot of like techie things or here. It's really a lot of like offense, damage, DPS. It's a very aggro kind of class if you choose to play this. And then of course when you're working with your DM and the campaign setting that you're in, try to work that into your story as to why you would choose to kind of like always have like these closed fists all the time. There's a lot of opportunity for that.
Yeah, it reminds me so much of like a tavern brawler kind of thing, which is kind of cool. So if you've got something you would like to send us, just like this class, you can send it right down here to dmbrewcrew@gmail.com. We'd be happy to take a look at it. Not everything makes the channel, but we do our darndest.
Yep, and if you want to support the channel, you can always go down to the links below to check out our Patreon. You can get some behind-the-scenes stuff, and you can possibly even get some of the stuff that we have on DM's Guild, which is another great way to support us as well. We do have some content that you can actually pick up, like our Briarthorn race, and some upcoming releases as well, so be sure to check that out when you can.
And remember, the best campaigns are always the ones that are homebrewed. So until next time, keep brewing.